Hello class, welcome to the first online lecture for Academic Preparation 4. I am your instructor, Chantel Daniels. Now we are going to begin our first lesson on poetry. Now some of you may still have the question, what exactly is poetry? So now I would venture to say that poetry is a literary art form. It's a way of using language to paint a picture, to help you see, smell, and taste the ideas that are in a poet's mind. So with that being said, let's look at the elements of poetry, because our task will be to analyze poems. So the first aspect of poetry that you must understand is called rhyme. It will be important for you to understand what rhyme is. Basically, rhyme occurs in any form of writing when you have the same sounds within the syllables repeated. So if you have the same vowel sounds, A, E, I, O, U, or consonant sounds, G, F, P, K, those same sounds, if they are repeated, then you have rhyme. So if you have the example of sweetly and neatly, this has a rhyme. The E sound in sweetly and in neatly begins to rhyme with a vowel sound, and it ends with a consonant rhyme. So when you stress these sounds in both words, you have rhyme. Take a look at the words on this guy's shirt. You have at, vat, bat, fat, that, pat, mat, hat, cat, sat. They all rhyme. You have the or sound, which is the vowel, and the t, which is the consonant. So when you put them together, they form the same rhyme sound. Can you think of any other rhymes? Think about a couple words that might rhyme. Okay, so now let's put that together with what you might see in a poem that we're going to study. You're going to see something called end rhymes, meaning if you read through a line rather, at the end of the line, that word, it may match with the word at the end of another line. So let's take a look at what I mean. Whose words these are, I think I know. No ends that line. So we'll say we're going to start a rhyme pattern, and we'll start it with A. No. Anything that rhymes with no, we'll say it rhymes in the A pattern. So whose words these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. Does no and though rhyme? Yes. So we'll say that's A as well. He will not see me stopping here. Here does not rhyme with though or no, so we're going to give it a new letter, a new rhyme scheme. To watch his woods fill up with snow. Okay, so snow, though, and no, they all rhyme, so they all have A as the A rhyme scheme, and B is alone by itself. So what you need to know here is that in poetry, one way to analyze it is to listen for the sounds that are similar, the rhyme scheme. Particularly, you can listen for end rhymes. Now, if you want to hear this poem recited by a professional, you may always go to youtube.com and type in Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost and listen to a poet recite it. Okay, we're going to look at another aspect of poetry. This is called rhythm. So now you move from rhyme to rhythm. Think about your favorite song. You know that one you like. The one that makes you dance and move. Yes, that's rhythm. Rhythm is the stress on words. Rhythm is the order of stressed and unstressed syllables, particularly in a piece of poetry. Take a look at the picture on the right. Would you say that the lines have rhythm? I think they do. They sway back and forth to a certain beat. Think about t, 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 p, t, 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 p. This is rhythm. When you stress a sound, this is rhythm. Look with me on page 169. At the bottom of your book on page 169, you'll see a poem. Okay, so look at the top of the page. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a house near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Okay, so what do I mean here? If you read in your book, you'll see that there are some little marks that you can make to indicate the rhythm. So let's say you wrote a song or you wrote a poem and you have a particular rhythm in mind. It's the way it should sound when someone reads the poem. You can help them to understand the way it sounds by making these marks above the words. So if you look in your book with me, my, that Y has a symbol above it. Would you say that means it should be stressed or unstressed? Should you say that word with emphasis or not? It should be stressed. So my little, okay, it doesn't need to be stressed. My little, till, that TLE sound, that should be stressed. My little horse must think it queer. Alright, so must. Here you have stress, think, unstress, it, stress, queer, unstress. My little horse must make it queer. Again, my little horse must think it queer. Okay, this is the rhythm. So you can practice it at home. Try using your hands to clap. My little horse must make it queer. Okay, when you have a stressed word, you hit harder, unstressed, softer. Okay, this will take some time to practice. But again, you must practice it. Now, this picture that we looked at just a few minutes ago, it has a regular rhythm, and so does the poem that we just looked at. Later we will come across some poems that don't have a regular rhythm. So that's something that you would have to indicate when you're analyzing the poem. Okay, the last piece that we're going to look at for analyzing poems is figurative language. You're going to watch a video shortly about metaphors. So figurative language is the type of language that's used that isn't literal. Meaning, if you say, my feet are killing me, this is figurative. It doesn't mean literally that your feet are doing something to make you physically die. It simply means that your feet are hurting you very badly. So let's look at figurative language a little more in depth. Figurative language is not true. It helps us to see things in new ways. The most common forms of figurative language are similes and metaphors. I'm also going to add to that imagery. You've read about imagery in your book. So imagery is a way of helping a person to see, to hear, feel, taste, and smell the things that are being described in a poem. Now, let me see if I can give you an example of that. I haven't written a poem, but I can try to use figurative language to paint a picture of my beautiful daughter. My daughter is the cutest little girl you've ever seen. If you hear her voice, it'll sound like a sweet melody to your ears. If you touch her skin, oh, it's so smooth and baby soft. Imagine a silky piece of fabric. That's what she feels like when you touch her. Oh, and if you were to just get a whiff of her, you would smell all the sweet, sweet scent of baby lotion. Okay, so this is just an example. So I don't just say that my daughter is cute and she feels nice and she smells good, but I give you more details to help you get a better and more complete image of what she is and what she looks like. Okay, so now let's look at a couple of things. So similes and metaphors. So let's start with a metaphor. So a metaphor is when you describe something by comparing two things that have no relation, but you do not use the words like or as. So in this picture here on the right, to help someone understand what this guy may look like, you could say his skin was leather, or his skin is leather. So that helps you to understand that he has thick skin. Now if I were to say his skin was as tough as leather, okay, it's very similar to what I just explained. However, this is a different literary device, and this is called a simile, because we're using the words like or as. So when you look at this picture, this guy, whoa, he's strong. He's as strong as a horse. Okay, so you have two things that are very unalike. You have a man and you have a horse, but clearly he's strong and a horse is strong. So when you compare those two, you get an idea of how strong this guy is. He's as strong as a horse. So when you use the words like or as, you're using a simile. Okay, so we are going to stop here for this lesson. If you have any questions about these parts of analyzing a poem and what it means to use a metaphor, a simile, to look at rhythm and rhyme, go ahead and send a message, write a message on a discussion board underneath the video and directions for the discussion. That way I can reply and your classmates can see and also benefit from the question. Alright, I'll see you in class.